Ethan Caldwell had it all. Wealth, status, a picture-perfect engagement dinner at his family's most exclusive hotel. But when he locked eyes with the woman catering his party, time stopped, secrets exploded, and his entire life shattered in seconds. She was Naomi Brooks, the woman he'd walked away from 5 years ago, and standing beside her were two 4-year-old twins who had his exact smile. What came next wasn't just a scandal. It was a reckoning that would force a powerful man to choose between the life he'd carefully built and the family he never knew existed. Subscribe now and comment below if you believe in second chances, because this story will prove that some loves are worth fighting for, no matter how much time has passed. The ballroom glittered like something from a dream. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting warm light across white tablecloths and gold-trimmed chairs. Ethan Caldwell stood at the center of it all, champagne glass in hand, surrounded by 200 of Savannah's finest. His engagement dinner was everything his mother had promised, elegant, impressive, perfect. Everything except the feeling in his chest. He'd been making small talk for the past hour, shaking hands with investors and old family friends. Sophie moved through the crowd beside him, her diamond ring catching the light every time she gestured. She looked beautiful tonight in her silver gown, her blonde hair swept up in an intricate style that probably took hours. She belonged here, in this world of careful appearances and practiced smiles. Ethan wondered not for the first time if he did. "Your mother outdid herself," Sophie said, leaning close. Her perfume was expensive, floral. "This venue is perfect." "She usually does." Ethan smiled, but it felt tight. The hotel's grand ballroom was one of his family's properties, a restored historic building near the riverfront. He'd spent the last 5 years helping manage the Caldwell Hotel Group's expansion across the southeast. Good work, steady work, the kind of career that made sense on paper. "You should give your toast soon," Sophie whispered. "Before dinner service." "Right. The toast." Ethan had written something last week, words about partnership and future and gratitude. He couldn't quite remember them now. A slight commotion near the kitchen doors caught his attention. One of the waiters rushed past, followed by a woman in chef's whites. She moved with purpose, her voice low but firm as she directed staff to adjust something about the timing. Ethan caught only a glimpse. Dark skin, natural hair pulled back, an air of complete competence. Something shifted in his chest, a feeling like recognition, except that made no sense. "Ethan?" Sophie touched his arm. "The toast?" He blinked, pulling his attention back. "Yes, of course." He made his way to the small stage at the front of the room, tapping his glass with a spoon. The conversations died down. 200 faces turned toward him, expectant and smiling. "Thank you all for being here tonight," Ethan began. His voice sounded steady, at least. "Sophie and I are grateful for your support as we begin this new chapter." The words came automatically. He talked about meeting Sophie at a charity gala 2 years ago, about building a life together, about the future they'd planned. All true, all perfectly reasonable. Then the kitchen door opened again. The woman in chef's whites stepped into the ballroom, speaking quietly to the banquet manager. The lighting was better here, brighter. Ethan's voice faltered mid-sentence. It couldn't be, but it was. The shape of her face, the way she held herself, the exact shade of her eyes, even from 30 feet away, he knew. Naomi. The glass slipped from his hand. It didn't shatter, just landed with a dull thunk on the carpeted platform, champagne spreading in a golden puddle. The room went silent. Excuse me." Ethan stepped down, his heart hammering. "Just a moment." Sophie's confused voice followed him. "Ethan, what?" But he was already moving, threading through the tables. His mother appeared at his elbow, her expression concerned. "Darling, are you feeling well?" "Fine." The word came out too sharp. "I just need a minute." Naomi had noticed the commotion. She'd turned, and now their eyes met across the crowded room. Her face went carefully blank. That same expression she'd worn 5 years ago when he'd told her they needed to talk, that things were getting too serious too fast. Time folded. He was 27 again, terrified of commitment, watching her nod and say she understood. He remembered the tears she wouldn't let fall until she turned away, remembered promising himself he'd call in a few days, once he'd figured things out. He never had. Naomi turned on her heel and walked back toward the kitchen, professional, composed, like she was just handling another detail of the evening's service. Ethan knew better. His feet carried him forward without conscious thought. Sophie called his name again, louder this time. Other voices joined in, confusion rippling through the guests. He barely heard them. The kitchen hallway was bright and utilitarian, after the soft elegance of the ballroom. The sounds were different here too. Clattering dishes, running water, rapid-fire Spanish from the prep cooks. Ethan pushed through, scanning for her. "Sir, you can't be back here." A young man in server's uniform stepped in front of him. "Health code? I need to speak with the head chef. Chef Brooks is busy. If there's a problem with the food..." "There's no problem." Ethan tried to soften his tone. "Please, just tell her Ethan Caldwell needs a moment." The server hesitated, then disappeared through another door. Ethan stood there, breathing hard, feeling like his life had just split in two directions, the one he'd been living and the one he'd left behind 5 years ago. Naomi emerged a minute later. She'd taken off her chef's jacket, revealing a simple black shirt underneath. Her hair was the same, thick, natural, beautiful. Her face was older now, more defined. There were shadows under her eyes that hadn't been there before. She looked at him without speaking. "Naomi," his voice came out rough. "I didn't know you'd be here. I'm the catering manager." Her tone was even, neutral. "Your mother hired my company 3 months ago." His mother, of course. Claudia Caldwell insisted on handling all the wedding planning, had barely consulted him on any of it. He'd been too busy with work to care about details like who was catering. "I need to talk to you." "There's nothing to talk about." Naomi glanced back toward the kitchen. "You have a party to get back to, an engagement to celebrate." "I didn't..." He stopped. What could he even say? That he'd thought about her over the years, that he'd wondered what might have happened if he'd been braver, more ready. "How have you been?" The question was absurd given the circumstances. Naomi's laugh was short, humorless. "Really? You want to do this now?" "No, I just... seeing you..." A door at the far end of the hallway opened. A woman with short red hair stuck her head out. "Naomi, we need you for the timing on the duck." "1 second, Charlotte." Naomi turned back to Ethan. "I have a job to do. You should go back to your guests." She started to walk away. "Wait." He caught her arm gently. She froze. "I'm sorry for how things ended. I should have called. I should have... It was 5 years ago." Naomi pulled free, but her voice was softer now, tired. "We were young. You weren't ready. It's fine. Is it?" She looked at him fully then, and he saw it, all the hurt he'd caused, carefully locked away but still there. "It has to be." "Have a good evening, Mr. Caldwell." This time, when she walked away, he let her go. The children appeared without warning. Ethan had returned to the ballroom, made some excuse about a phone call, finished his toast in a daze. Dinner was served. He ate without tasting anything. Sophie kept shooting him concerned looks across the table, but he couldn't bring himself to explain. How could he explain something he didn't understand himself? Seeing Naomi had cracked something open inside him, a door he'd thought was safely locked. He excused himself again after the main course, claiming he needed air. Instead, he found himself wandering back toward the kitchen area, not to see her again, just to think, to breathe somewhere away from all those watching eyes. He heard them before he saw them, children's laughter, bright and unself-conscious. The prep area had a small alcove near the loading dock where staff could take breaks. Ethan rounded the corner and stopped dead. 2 kids sat at a folding table, coloring with crayons. They couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 years old. A boy and a girl, both with rich brown skin and dark curly hair. The girl wore a yellow dress with flowers. The boy had on tiny jeans and a striped shirt. The red-haired woman from before, Charlotte, sat with them, checking her phone while keeping one eye on the children. "No, Leo, the sky can be purple if you want," she was saying. "It's your drawing." The boy giggled. "Purple sky is silly." "Silly is good sometimes." The girl looked up and saw Ethan. She had huge dark eyes, long lashes, a smile that took up half her face. "Hi!" Charlotte's head snapped up. She quickly stood, moving slightly in front of the children. "Can I help you?" Ethan's throat felt tight. "Sorry, I got lost looking for the restroom." Down the hall, left at the first intersection. He should leave. He knew that. But he couldn't stop staring at the children. There was something about them, something familiar in a way that made his skin prickle with awareness. The boy had a dimple in his left cheek when he smiled, just like Ethan did. "Are you the hotel man?" the boy asked, curious. "Mommy said the hotel man is having a big party." "Leo, hush." Charlotte's voice was gentle but firm. "I am," Ethan said slowly. "What are your names?" "I'm Lila." The girl bounced in her seat. "That's my brother Leo. We're twins." "We're 4, Leo added. "Almost 5. 4 years old. Almost 5. The timeline slammed into Ethan like a physical blow. 5 years since he'd last seen Naomi. These children were 4. "No, your mommy works here," he heard himself ask. "She's the chef," Lila said proudly. "She makes the best food in the whole world." The pieces were connecting in his mind, each one clicking into place with terrible clarity. The children's ages, their features. He saw it now, the mix of traits. Naomi's full lips and warm skin tone, the boy's dimple, the girl's nose which had the same slight upturn as Ethan's own. Charlotte was watching him carefully, her expression unreadable. "You should probably go back to your party, Mr. Caldwell." "Are they—" He couldn't finish the question, couldn't breathe. Footsteps approached from behind. Naomi appeared, still in her black shirt, looking exhausted. She took in the scene, Ethan standing there, Charlotte's protective stance, the twins looking up with innocent curiosity. Her face went pale. "Time to pack up, babies," she said, her voice only slightly strained. "Get your coats." "But Mommy, we're still coloring," Lila protested. "You can finish at home." Naomi was already gathering their crayons, not looking at Ethan. "Charlotte, can you help them?" "Of course." The children started putting on their jackets, little puffy coats, one pink and one blue. They chatted to each other, oblivious to the tension crackling between the adults. Ethan found his voice. "Naomi?" She finally looked at him. There was fear in her eyes, and resignation, and something else he couldn't name. "Are they mine?" he asked quietly. The question hung in the air. Charlotte had gone very still. The twins were still chattering, arguing over who got to carry the crayon box. "Not here," Naomi said. "Not now." "That's not an answer." Her jaw tightened. "What do you want me to say? In front of them? In front of—" She gestured vaguely toward the ballroom, where his engagement party was still going on. "I want the truth." Naomi looked at her children, then back at him. Something in her expression shifted. A decision made. "Fine. Yes, they're yours." The world tilted. Leo and Lila were his children, his son and daughter who he'd never known existed, who were 4 years old and liked coloring and thought purple skies were silly. Why didn't you— He couldn't form a complete sentence. "Not here." Naomi's voice was hard now. She scooped up Lila's coat, helping her zip it. "Leo, hold my hand. We're going home." "Can Charlotte come?" Leo asked. "Not tonight, baby." Ethan's legs felt weak. He leaned against the wall, watching Naomi gather her children. His children. Their children. "I tried to tell you," Naomi said, not looking at him. 5 years ago. I sent letters to your mother's house. I called your office. No one ever responded. Letters. Calls. He'd never gotten any of them. "I didn't know," he said. "I swear I didn't. It doesn't matter now." Naomi picked up Lila, settling her on one hip. Leo held tight to her other hand. "They're happy. They're healthy. They have everything they need. I want to know them." She paused at that, something flickering across her face. Not anger, sadness, maybe, or exhaustion. "Do you? Or do you just want to feel better about yourself?" The accusations stung, because he couldn't honestly answer it. He didn't know what he wanted. Everything felt too big, too sudden. "They deserve to know you," Naomi said quietly. "But not tonight. Not like this, with you about to marry someone else and them confused about who you are." She was right. God, she was right. But it felt impossible to let them walk away. "When? Then?" Naomi shifted Lila's weight, considering. "Tomorrow. Come to my shop. We'll talk properly. Figure out what comes next." "Your shop?" "Brooks Catering. It's on Whitaker Street." She paused. "Come in the morning. 10 o'clock. If you're serious about this, you'll show up." She didn't wait for his answer. She just walked away, her children in tow, leaving Ethan standing in a prep area that smelled of herbs and lemon, his entire life rewritten in the space of 10 minutes. Leo looked back over his shoulder, waving. "Bye, hotel man." Ethan raised his hand automatically, waving back. Then they were gone. The engagement party continued without him. Ethan returned to the ballroom in a fog. Sophie caught his arm the moment he appeared, her smile bright and false. "There you are. Everyone's been asking where you went." "I'm sorry, I wasn't feeling well." "You look terrible." Her concern seemed genuine. "Do you want to leave early?" "Yes." "No, we should stay. Your parents flew in for this." The rest of the evening was torture. Ethan smiled and nodded through conversations he didn't hear. He cut the engagement cake. He danced with Sophie, with his mother, with Sophie's mother. The whole time his mind was miles away. He had children, twins. A boy and a girl who liked coloring and called him the hotel man. Naomi had tried to contact him. What had happened to those letters? Why hadn't anyone told him? Around midnight, the party finally wound down. Sophie's parents left for their hotel. The last few guests trickled out. thanking Ethan and Sophie for a lovely evening. His mother kissed his cheek, told him how proud she was, how perfect everything had been. "You really pulled it together after that rough start," she said. "I was worried when you dropped your glass, but you recovered beautifully." Ethan managed something that might have been a smile. Sophie wanted to go back to her apartment, suggested he come with her, maybe stay over. He made an excuse about early meetings. She looked hurt but didn't push. "Are you sure you're okay?" she asked as her Uber pulled up. "You've been strange all night." "Just tired. Big day." She kissed him. A proper kiss, the kind meant to remind him of what they had together. "Get some rest. I'll call you tomorrow." He watched her car disappear down the street, then walked to his own car. He didn't go home. He drove aimlessly through Savannah's historic district, past squares lined with oak trees and Spanish moss, past the shuttered shops and restaurants. His phone buzzed. Text from his mother. "Such a wonderful evening. Sophie is perfect for you." Another buzz. "Sophie, love you, can't wait to be your wife." Ethan pulled over in a deserted parking lot and dropped his head to the steering wheel. What was he going to do? In the span of a few hours, everything he'd thought he knew about his life had been demolished. He was engaged to a woman he liked but didn't love. He could admit that now in the quiet darkness of his car. He'd been going through the motions, doing what was expected, building a life that looked right from the outside. And somewhere in Savannah there were two children who carried his genes, who'd grown up without knowing him. Naomi had been pregnant when he'd ended things. She'd been alone, scared probably, trying to reach him, and he'd never known. Someone had intercepted those letters, those calls. His mother. The thought arrived fully formed, bringing a wave of nausea with it. His mother, who insisted on managing his life, who'd never approved of Naomi in the first place. Who'd made pointed comments back then about Ethan being too young for anything serious, about needing to focus on his career. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through his contacts. His finger hovered over his mother's name. Not tonight. It was too late. And he was too raw. He'd confront her tomorrow after he'd seen Naomi and the twins, after he figured out how to explain this to Sophie, after he figured out what the hell he was going to do with the rest of his life. Ethan drove home in the early morning hours. His apartment felt cold and empty. He stood in the shower until the water ran cool, then lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Sleep didn't come. All he could see were those two small faces, Lila's gap-toothed grin, Leo's curious eyes, the way they'd colored together, completely absorbed in their own world. His children. The words didn't feel real yet, but they would. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, they would become real and everything else would have to adjust around that truth. For the first time in 5 years, Ethan thought about that last conversation with Naomi, how she'd been different those final weeks, quieter, more emotional, how she'd asked him once if he could see a future for them and he'd panicked and changed the subject. She'd been trying to tell him. In her own way, she'd been trying, and he'd been too scared and selfish to listen. Morning light crept through his windows. Ethan gave up on sleep around 6. He made coffee he didn't drink, tried to eat toast he couldn't taste, checked the clock every 5 minutes. At 9:30, he couldn't wait anymore. He got in his car and drove to Whitaker Street. Brooks Catering occupied a narrow storefront between a vintage clothing shop and a coffee roaster. The window display showed elegant place settings and photos of beautifully plated food. A small sign on the door said, "By appointment only," but the lights were on inside. Ethan sat in his car for 10 minutes, gathering courage. Then he got out, walked to the door, and knocked. Footsteps inside. The door opened. Naomi stood there in jeans and a simple grey sweater, her hair down around her shoulders. She looked tired, beautiful, nervous. "You came," she said. "Did you think I wouldn't?" "I wasn't sure." She stepped aside. "Come in." The shop was small but professionally outfitted. A consultation area with a table and chairs, a kitchen visible through a doorway in back. Children's drawings were magneted to a filing cabinet, stick figures and bright colors, and the word "mommy" written in uneven letters. "Where are Leo and Lila?" Ethan asked. "With Charlotte. I thought we should talk first, just us." She gestured to the chairs. They sat across from each other, the table between them feeling like both a barrier and a bridge. Naomi folded her hands, taking a breath. "Where do you want to start?" Ethan had thought about this all night, but now that the moment was here, he didn't know. There were too many questions, too many years to catch up on. "Tell me about them," he said finally. "Tell me everything." So she did. The story spilled out slowly, carefully. Naomi's voice was steady but soft, like she was handling something fragile. "I found out I was pregnant about 2 weeks after we broke up," she began. I was terrified. I just graduated culinary school. I had no money, no job lined up, and you'd made it pretty clear you weren't interested in anything serious. Ethan winced, but didn't interrupt. I tried to call you, Naomi continued. Your phone went straight to voicemail every time, so I wrote a letter and sent it to your mother's house. That's the only address I had for you. I explained everything, asked you to call me. I never got it. I know that now. Her expression was unreadable. When you didn't respond, I wrote again, and again, 3 letters total. I also tried calling your office, but whoever answered always said you were unavailable and didn't take messages from people you didn't know. His mother's assistant. Had to be. Claudia Caldwell ran a tight ship, controlled every aspect of the family business's public image. After the 3rd letter, Naomi said, I stopped trying. I figured you knew and didn't care. Or that maybe you thought I was trying to trap you into something. I would never have thought that, she shrugged. I didn't know what else to think, so I decided to do it on my own. Charlotte helped me. She's been my best friend since culinary school. She let me stay with her, helped with doctor's appointments, all of it. The pregnancy. Was it difficult? Twins usually are. A small smile touched her lips. I was huge by the end. Uncomfortable. Scared out of my mind. But they were healthy, and that's what mattered. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through photos, turned it to show him. Newborns, tiny and red-faced. Then older, smiling babies, toddlers taking first steps, birthday parties and Halloween costumes, Christmas mornings and beach days. 4 years of life he'd missed. They're perfect, Ethan said, his voice rough. They are. Naomi's expression softened. Leo is quieter, thoughtful. He loves building things. Blocks, puzzles, anything he can figure out. Lila is pure energy. She never stops talking or moving. They balance each other out. Do they ask about their father? Naomi pulled the phone back, looking at the screen. Sometimes. I've always told them the truth, that their daddy wasn't ready to be a parent when they were born, but that didn't mean he didn't care. I never badmouthed you. I didn't want them growing up thinking they weren't wanted. The words hit like a punch. They were wanted, they are wanted, I just didn't know. I believe you. Naomi met his eyes. I saw your face last night. That wasn't fake. Ethan leaned back in his chair, rubbing his face with both hands. I need to talk to my mother. Those letters. Someone kept them from me. Probably. Naomi's voice was careful. But that doesn't change where we are now. The question is what happens next. I want to be part of their lives. That's not a small thing, Ethan. You can't just show up, play dad for a few weeks and then disappear when it gets hard or inconvenient. I won't. You have a fiancé, a wedding planned, a whole life that doesn't include us. The reminder made his stomach turn. Sophie, the wedding. He'd barely thought about either since last night. I need to figure that out, he admitted. Figure it out fast. Naomi's voice was firm now. Because I won't let you hurt them. They're happy, stable. If you're going to be in their lives, it has to be all the way, no half measures. I understand. Do you? She leaned forward. Intense. This isn't about you feeling guilty or wanting to do the right thing. Kids can tell when adults are faking it. If you're not ready to really commit to them, to being present and consistent and putting them first, then walk away now, before they get attached. I'm not walking away. The words came out harder than he intended. I missed 4 years. I'm not missing anymore. They stared at each other across the table. Naomi was testing him, he realized, pushing to see if he'd fold. He wouldn't. Okay, she said finally. Then here's what's going to happen. You'll meet them properly today. Spend an hour or so, let them get to know you in a calm setting. No pressure, no big revelations about who you are. Just time together. I can do that. After today, we'll take it slow. Maybe you come by a few times a week at first. Let them get used to having you around. When it feels right, when they're ready, we'll tell them the truth. It wasn't enough. He wanted to know everything, be there for everything, make up for lost time immediately. But Naomi was right to be cautious. He had to earn this. What about you? He asked. What about me? How do you feel about all this? Naomi was quiet for a moment, considering. Honestly, I'm scared. For them, mostly. But also, she trailed off, looking away. Also for me. Her voice was barely audible. Seeing you last night brought back a lot of things I thought I'd dealt with. Feelings I thought I'd moved past. Ethan's chest tightened. Naomi, don't. She held up a hand. We're not going there. This isn't about us. It's about Leo and Lila. That has to be enough. He wanted to argue, wanted to tell her that it wasn't enough, that he'd spent 5 years trying to forget her and failing. But she was right. The kids had to come first. When can I meet them? he asked instead. Naomi checked her phone. Charlotte's bringing them by at 11. That gives us a few more minutes to set some ground rules. They spent the next half hour going over logistics, how to interact with the twins, what topics to avoid, how to handle questions. Naomi was thorough, maternal, protective in a way that made Ethan's heart ache. She'd done this alone for 4 years, raised 2 children, built a business, created a life, all while he'd been living in oblivious comfort. "I'm sorry," he said suddenly. Naomi looked up from the notes she'd been making. "For what?" "For not being there. For not trying harder to stay in touch after we broke up. For," he gestured helplessly, "all of it. You didn't know. I should have. I should have checked in, made sure you were okay. Instead, I just—" He trailed off. There was no good way to finish that sentence. "You were 27, Naomi said quietly. "You were scared of commitment. It's not a crime. It feels like one now." A knock at the door interrupted them. Naomi stood, smoothing her sweater. "That's them. Are you ready?" "No." "Yes." She opened the door. Charlotte came in first. Then Leo and Lila burst past her, already talking over each other. "Mommy Charlotte bought us donuts. With sprinkles, rainbow sprinkles. Can we eat them now or do we have to wait?" Naomi laughed, catching Lila as she barreled into her legs. "Slow down, baby. Yes, you can have donuts. But first, I want you to meet someone." Both kids turned to look at Ethan. Recognition flickered in Leo's eyes. "You're the hotel man," he said. "From last night." "I am." Ethan knelt down, putting himself at their level. His heart was pounding so hard he could barely hear his own voice. "My name is Ethan. It's nice to meet you both properly." Lila stepped forward, bold and curious. "Do you own the whole hotel?" "Not exactly. My family owns several hotels. I help run them." "That's a lot of hotels." "It is." Leo hung back, more cautious. He studied Ethan with serious eyes. "Why did you want to meet us?" Naomi tensed, but Ethan kept his voice steady. "Because I'm a friend of your mum's. We knew each other a long time ago, and I wanted to say hello to you." "Oh," Leo seemed to accept this. "Do you like building things?" "I do, actually." "What kind of things?" "Well, I help design hotel rooms and restaurants, figuring out where everything should go, what colors to use, all that." Leo's eyes lit up. "That's like giant puzzles." "Exactly like that." Lila tugged on Ethan's sleeve. "Can you come see our puzzle? We're making a big one with Charlotte. It has 100 pieces." "I'd love to." And just like that, he was in. The twins led him to a small back room where they'd been working on their puzzle. Charlotte and Naomi followed, hanging back but watching carefully. The next hour passed in a blur of colored puzzle pieces, sticky donut fingers, and endless questions. The twins wanted to know everything: where he lived, what his favorite color was, if he had any pets, whether he liked pizza or tacos better. Ethan answered honestly, amazed by their openness, by how easy it was to talk to them, to be around them. Leo showed him how to find corner pieces first. Lila insisted on doing a dance she'd learned in preschool. When Charlotte said it was time to go, she was taking them to the park. Both kids groaned. "But we're not done with the puzzle," Lila protested. "We can finish it later," Naomi said. "Can Ethan help?" Leo asked. Naomi looked at Ethan, a question in her eyes. He nodded. "Maybe," she said, "if he has time." "I'll make time," Ethan said. The twins cheered. They gathered their coats, those same puffy jackets from last night, and Charlotte herded them toward the door. Lila turned back at the last second. "Bye, Ethan." "You're nice." "Bye, Lila." Then they were gone, taking all the noise and energy with them. The shop felt very quiet. Naomi sank into one of the consultation chairs, looking exhausted. "Well, that went better than I expected. They're incredible. They liked you. That's a good start." Ethan sat down across from her again. "When can I see them again?" "Tuesday same time. I have a catering job this weekend, so I'll be swamped." "Tuesday works." They looked at each other, and for a moment it felt like old times, like they were just Naomi and Ethan again before all the complications and time and mistakes. "Thank you," he said, "for letting me in, for not shutting me out." "They deserve to know you," Naomi said simply. "That's more important than my feelings about what happened between us." Ethan wanted to ask about those feelings, wanted to know if she'd thought about him over the years the way he'd thought about her. But it wasn't the time. "I should go," he said, standing. "I have some things I need to take care of." Naomi walked him to the door. "Ethan, what you said about figuring things out with your fiancé, do that soon, okay? I meant what I said about the kids not being jerked around." "I will. I promise." He meant it, but as he drove away from Brooks Catering, his phone buzzing with messages from Sophie and his mother, Ethan realized He had no idea how to untangle the mess his life had become. He only knew that he had to try, for Leo and Lila, for Naomi, and maybe, finally, for himself. Ethan sat in his car outside his mother's house for 10 minutes before going in. The Caldwell estate sprawled across 3 acres in one of Savannah's most exclusive neighborhoods. White columns, perfectly trimmed hedges, a circular driveway where a fountain bubbled year-round. He'd grown up here, in rooms filled with antique furniture and his mother's carefully curated art collection. It had never really felt like home. His phone buzzed again. Another text from Sophie. "Call me when you can, want to talk about honeymoon destinations." He silenced it and got out of the car. Claudia Caldwell answered the door herself, unusual for a Saturday afternoon. She typically spent weekends at the country club or organizing charity events. Today she wore casual clothes, cream-colored slacks and a silk blouse, her silver hair swept into its usual elegant twist. "Darling," she kissed his cheek, "what a lovely surprise. I wasn't expecting you. We need to talk." Something flickered in her expression. "Of course, come in. I just made tea." The sitting room hadn't changed in 20 years. Same pale blue walls, same uncomfortable Victorian sofa, same painting of a fox hunt above the fireplace. Claudia poured tea from a porcelain pot, her movements precise and practiced. "Last night was wonderful," she said, handing him a cup. "Everyone commented on how perfect you and Sophie looked together." "Mum." Ethan set the cup down without drinking. "Did you intercept letters meant for me? 5 years ago?" Her hand paused just for a second before continuing to stir sugar into her own tea. "I don't know what you mean." "Letters from Naomi Brooks. She sent them here." "That girl?" Claudia's voice cooled. "Ethan, that was years ago. You'd already ended things with her." "That's not an answer." His mother set down her spoon with a delicate clink. She looked at him with the same expression she'd worn when he was a child, caught in mischief, disappointed but not surprised. "Yes," she said finally. "I received some letters from her." The confirmation hit him like a slap, even though he'd expected it. "You never gave them to me." "No, I didn't." "Why?" Claudia stood, moving to the window. She looked out at the manicured lawn, her back straight. "Because I was protecting you. That girl was obviously trying to trap you into something. You'd just started with the company. Your whole life was ahead of you. I wasn't going to let some what?" Ethan's voice came out dangerously quiet. "Say it. Some unsuitable girl with no family connections derail your future over a few months of infatuation." The words hung in the air between them. Ethan felt his hands clench into fists. "She was pregnant," he said. Claudia turned, and for the first time, uncertainty crossed her face. "What?" "Naomi was pregnant. That's what the letters said. She was trying to tell me I was going to be a father." His mother's face went pale. "That's impossible. She never... The letters just asked you to call her. They didn't say anything about..." "So you did read them." Claudia sank back onto the sofa, looking genuinely shaken. "I thought she wanted money, or to get back together. I thought I was helping you avoid a mistake. You kept my children from me." The words felt surreal even as he said them. "I have 4-year-old twins, Mom, a son and daughter. I met them last night." "Oh, God." Claudia's voice was barely a whisper. "Ethan, I didn't know. You have to believe me. If I'd known, would you have told me? Honestly?" She looked at him, and he saw the answer in her eyes before she spoke. Maybe not. Maybe she would have convinced herself it was still the wrong time, the wrong woman, the wrong life for her son. "I don't know," she admitted. "I wanted what was best for you." "What you thought was best? There's a difference." Ethan stood, his legs unsteady. He felt like he was seeing his mother clearly for the first time, not as the strong, decisive woman who'd raised him alone after his father died, but as someone who'd let her own fears and prejudices control his life. "Where are the letters?" he asked. "I threw them away. Years ago." "Of course you did." He moved toward the door. "Ethan, wait." Claudia followed him into the foyer. "What are you going to do?" "Be a father, get to know my children, try to fix what you broke. And Sophie..." He paused with his hand on the doorknob. "I don't love her, Mom. I think I've known that for a while. I was just going along with it because it made sense on paper, because it was what you wanted. That's not fair, isn't it?" He turned to look at her. "You pushed us together. You planned the entire engagement. You never once asked me if this was what I really wanted." Tears were forming in Claudia's eyes. He'd rarely seen her cry. "I wanted you to be happy, to have stability." "I know, but you don't get to decide what my happiness looks like." He left before she could respond, pulling the door shut on her protest. His hands were shaking as he got back in his car, one conversation down, one more to go. Sophie lived in a renovated loft downtown, all exposed brick and modern furniture. She'd decorated it herself, every detail chosen to project success and sophistication. Ethan had always felt slightly uncomfortable here, like he might break something valuable just by sitting down. She opened the door in yoga pants and an oversized sweater, her hair in a messy bun. Even casual, she looked put together. It was a skill she'd mastered. Finally, she pulled him inside, standing on her toes to kiss him. "I've been trying to reach you all morning. Where have you been? We need to talk." Sophie's smile faltered. "That sounds ominous. Come sit. Do you want wine?" I opened a bottle. "No, thank you." Ethan remained standing. "Sophie, I can't marry you." The words came out more bluntly than he'd intended. Sophie froze halfway to the couch, her expression going blank. "What?" "I'm sorry. This isn't... I should have realized sooner. We're not right for each other." She stared at him for a long moment, then laughed. A sharp, disbelieving sound. "Is this a joke because it's not funny?" "It's not a joke. We're getting married in 3 months. The venue is booked. The invitations are ordered." She stopped, studying his face. "This is about last night, about you freaking out during your toast." "It's about more than that." "Then what? Explain it to me, Ethan, because this makes no sense." He owed her honesty. "The woman who catered the party, Naomi, I dated her 5 years ago, before we met. Okay?" Sophie's voice was cautious now. "What does that have to do with anything?" "She has children, twins. They're 4 years old." He took a breath. "They're mine." The silence was absolute. Sophie's face went through several expressions: confusion, shock, disbelief, and finally, cold anger. "You have children?" "I didn't know. She tried to tell me years ago, but I never got her messages. I just found out last night." "And what? You're going to play happy family with her now, just like that?" "I'm going to be part of my children's lives, yes." Sophie set down her wine glass very carefully, like she didn't trust herself to hold it. "You don't even know if they're really yours. She could be lying, trying to get money from you now that you're doing well. They're mine. I saw them. There's no doubt. Get a paternity test anyway, before you blow up your entire life over... My life is already blown up." Ethan kept his voice level. "I have kids, Sophie. That changes everything. It doesn't have to change us." He looked at her, really looked, at the perfectly styled loft, the engagement ring on her finger, the future they'd planned that had always felt more like a business arrangement than a love story. "I don't love you the way I should," he said quietly. "Not the way you deserve. I think you know that." Sophie's face crumpled for just a second before she caught herself, pulling the mask back into place. "So that's it? You're just walking away?" "I'm sorry. I should have been honest about my feelings before it got this far." "Your feelings?" She laughed again, bitter this time. "Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? My parents flew in last night. I've been planning this wedding for months. All my friends know, everyone at work. I know, and I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix this." Her voice rose. "You're leaving me for some woman you dated for a few months 5 years ago. I'm not leaving you for Naomi. There's nothing between us. This is about my children." "I don't believe you." Sophie grabbed her phone from the coffee table. "This is going to be everywhere. You know that, right? Wealthy hotel heir abandons fiancé for secret love child. It's going to be a scandal. Let it be. Easy for you to say. You're a man. This will blow over for you in a few weeks. But me? I'll be the woman who wasn't good enough, who got dumped right before the wedding." She was right. The double standard was real and unfair, but it didn't change what he had to do. "What can I do to make this easier?" he asked. "You can't." Sophie twisted the engagement ring off her finger and threw it at him. It bounced off his chest and fell to the hardwood floor with a small ping. "Get out! Just get out!" Ethan picked up the ring and set it on the entry table. "I'll handle the cancellations and the deposits. I don't care about the money, just leave." He left. Behind him, he heard something shatter, the wine glass probably, and then Sophie's muffled crying. He felt like the worst person in the world. Charlotte opened her apartment door with Leo on her hip and flour in her hair. "You look terrible," she said by way of greeting. "Can I come in?" She stepped aside. Leo squirmed down and ran back to the kitchen, where Lila was apparently helping make something that involved a lot of chocolate. "Naomi's not here," Charlotte said. "She's meeting with a client about a wedding next month." "I know. I came to talk to you." Charlotte raised an eyebrow but led him to the living room. She moved a pile of children's books off the couch so he could sit. "They're making brownies," she explained. gesturing toward the kitchen where childish voices argued about how many chocolate chips to add. Fair warning, it's going to be a disaster, but they're having fun. Charlotte, I need to ask you something. Shoot. 5 years ago when Naomi was pregnant. How bad was it? Charlotte's expression shifted. She sat down across from him, suddenly serious. Why? Because I need to understand what I missed. What she went through. Does it matter? It's over now. It matters to me. Charlotte studied him for a long moment, then sighed. It was bad. She was terrified. She kept thinking you'd call, that you'd somehow know and come back. Every time her phone rang, she jumped. Ethan's chest tightened. After the third letter went unanswered, Charlotte continued. She stopped hoping. Decided she was doing this alone. She worked up until 2 weeks before the twins were born. Catering jobs. Anything she could get. Saved every penny. She was living with you? Yeah. My place was tiny, but we made it work. She insisted on paying rent even though I told her not to worry about it. Charlotte smiled slightly. Stubborn, your girl. Always has been. She's not my girl, isn't she? It's complicated. It always is. Charlotte leaned forward. Look, I'm going to be straight with you. Naomi is my best friend. She's the strongest person I know. She raised those kids on her own, built a successful business, created a good life. She doesn't need you. I know. But, Charlotte held up a hand, those kids deserve to know their father. And despite everything, Naomi never stopped believing you were a good person, that you would have been there if you'd known. I would have. Then prove it. Show up. Be consistent. Don't make promises you can't keep. I won't. A crash came from the kitchen, followed by Leo shouting, It's okay, we didn't break anything. Charlotte rolled her eyes. I should check on that before they burn the apartment down. You staying? If that's okay. Kitchen's through there. Try to keep the chocolate off the ceiling. Ethan found Leo and Lila standing on chairs at the counter, surrounded by a truly impressive amount of mess. Brownie batter covered the counter, the floor, and both children. Lila had chocolate on her nose. Ethan! She waved a wooden spoon, flinging batter. We're making brownies! I see that. How's it going? Good, Leo said, though his expression suggested otherwise. Except Lila keeps eating the chocolate chips. They're for tasting. That's eating. Ethan pulled up a chair and sat down. Need any help? Both kids nodded enthusiastically. For the next half hour, he helped them finish the brownies, which involved more cleaning than actual cooking. Leo was meticulous, wanting to measure everything exactly. Lila just wanted to stir. They were so different, these two small people, but they both had his laugh, he realized. That same surprised sound when something was actually funny. Ethan? Lila asked as they waited for the brownies to bake. Do you have kids? The question caught him off guard. Charlotte, watching from the doorway, raised her eyebrows. I do, actually, he said carefully. How many? 2. Boys or girls? 1 of each. Twins, like you and Leo. Lila's eyes went wide. Really, that's so cool. Can we meet them? Charlotte stepped in smoothly. Maybe someday. Hey, why don't you guys wash your hands? You look like chocolate monsters. The kids ran off to the bathroom, arguing about who was messier. Charlotte gave Ethan a look. Smooth, she said dryly. I didn't know what else to say. The truth might be good. Eventually. Naomi wants to wait. Naomi's scared. But those kids are smart. They're going to figure it out sooner than she thinks. The apartment door opened. Naomi came in carrying grocery bags, calling out, I brought stuff for dinner. How bad is the... She stopped, seeing Ethan. Oh, hi. Hi. She set the bags on the counter, taking in the flowery kitchen and chocolate-covered children, now racing back from the bathroom. Looks like you all had fun. We made brownies, Lila announced. Ethan helped. Did he? Naomi's voice was neutral, but she was watching him carefully. They're in the oven, Leo added. They might be a little lumpy. Charlotte laughed. A little? Kid? They're going to be concrete. But when the timer went off and they pulled out the brownies, they were actually decent. A bit uneven, maybe, and definitely not pretty. But they smelled good. See, Lila said proudly. We're good cooks. Like Mommy. Naomi smiled, ruffling her daughter's hair. The best. Ethan watched her with the kids. The easy affection, the patient way she answered their endless questions, the way she seemed to know what they needed before they asked. She was a good mother. She'd done this alone while he was living his comfortable, uncomplicated life. The guilt sat heavy in his chest. Charlotte started unpacking groceries. Naomi, Ethan and I were talking earlier. About maybe telling the kids sooner rather than later. Naomi's expression closed off. That's not your decision. I know, I'm just saying, I'll tell them when the time is right. An awkward silence fell. Leo and Lila, sensing tension, quieted down. They looked between the adults with worried faces. "Hey," Ethan said softly, "why don't you two show me that puzzle we were working on yesterday? I bet we can finish it." They brightened immediately, pulling him toward the bedroom where Charlotte had set up a card table. As they walked away, he heard Naomi and Charlotte start talking in low, intense voices. The puzzle had more progress than yesterday. Someone had filled in most of the edge. Leo explained that Charlotte helped them work on it before bed last night. "What's the picture?" Ethan asked. "A beach," Lila said, "with sea turtles. We saw sea turtles once, at the aquarium. Did you like them? They were slow, but pretty. They worked in companionable silence for a while." Leo's small fingers carefully tested pieces, his face scrunched in concentration. Lila hummed to herself, occasionally shoving pieces into place whether they fit or not. "Ethan," Leo asked after a while, "why is Mommy sad? Is she sad?" "She does the thing where she smiles but her eyes don't," Leo demonstrated, a stretched expression that was more grimace than smile. "Like that." Kids noticed everything. Sometimes grown-ups have complicated feelings. It doesn't mean anything's wrong. "Is it because of you?" The question was so direct, so matter-of-fact that Ethan didn't know how to answer. "Maybe," he admitted. "Your mom and I knew each other a long time ago. Seeing me again probably brings up old memories." "Good memories or bad memories?" "Both, I think." Leo considered this, fitting a puzzle piece into place. "Charlotte says memories can't hurt you. They're just thoughts." "Charlotte's very smart." "She is." Lila abandoned the puzzle to climb onto Ethan's lap. She did it unselfconsciously, like it was the most natural thing in the world. "I like you. You're nice." Ethan's throat felt tight. "I like you too. Will you come back and visit again? If your mom says it's okay." "Yes, she will." Lila settled against his chest, warm and trusting. "She likes you too, I can tell." "How can you tell?" "She looks at you the way she looks at us, like she's happy and sad at the same time." Children saw too much. Naomi appeared in the doorway. She'd changed into comfortable clothes, soft pants and an oversized sweater. Her expression was unreadable. "Dinner's ready," she said. "Can Ethan stay?" Leo asked immediately. "I don't think—" "Please," both kids chorused. Naomi looked at Ethan, a question in her eyes. He knew what she was really asking. "Are you going to keep showing up? Or will this end the moment it gets uncomfortable?" "I'd like to stay," he said, "if that's okay." "It's okay." Dinner was simple. Pasta with vegetables and garlic bread. Charlotte had set the small table, squeezing in an extra chair. It was cramped, cozy, nothing like the formal dinners Ethan was used to. It was perfect. The twins talked non-stop, telling stories about preschool and their friends and a caterpillar they'd found on the playground. Charlotte and Naomi traded small comments, the easy shorthand of old friends. Ethan mostly listened, soaking it in. This was what he'd missed. Not big moments, but everyday ones. Meals together, laughter over nothing, the comfortable chaos of family. After dinner, the kids begged to watch a movie. Naomi agreed to 30 minutes, setting them up in the living room with blankets and the brownies they'd made. Ethan helped Charlotte wash dishes while Naomi made tea. "So," Charlotte said casually, handing him a soapy plate, "you break up with your fiancé yet?" "Charlotte," Naomi hissed. "What?" "It's a fair question." "This afternoon," Ethan said. "It's done." Naomi's head snapped up. "You ended your engagement." "I had to. It wasn't fair to either of us. Because of the kids. And because I realized I was marrying her for all the wrong reasons." Naomi turned away, busying herself with tea bags. That must have been difficult. It needed to happen. Charlotte was watching them both with undisguised interest. "Well, this isn't awkward at all. Don't you have somewhere to be?" Naomi asked pointedly. "Nope. This is way more entertaining than anything on TV." Ethan dried the last dish, hanging up the towel. "I should probably go. Let you guys have your evening." "You don't have to," Naomi started. "Stay," Lila called from the living room. "The movie's not over." But Ethan could see the exhaustion in Naomi's face. She needed space, time to process everything that had happened in the last 24 hours. "Next time," he promised, walking to where the kids were curled under blankets. "I'll see you both soon, okay?" "Tuesday?" Leo asked. "Tuesday for sure." Lila scrambled up to hug him, a quick, impulsive squeeze. Leo waved from his blanket nest. Naomi walked Ethan to the door. They stood in the hallway, suddenly awkward with each other. "Thank you for today," she said, "for spending time with them. I want to be here. I meant what I said." "I know, I'm just—" She wrapped her arms around herself. "This is all happening very fast. We can slow down if you need to." It's not about what I need, it's about them. Naomi looked back toward the living room where the kids were absorbed in their movie. They're already getting attached to you. If you change your mind, if this gets too complicated, I won't change my mind. You can't know that. Yes, I can. He wanted to touch her, to smooth away the worry line between her eyebrows, but he kept his hands at his sides. I lost 4 years. I'm not losing anymore. Naomi studied his face, searching for something. Whatever she found must have satisfied her because she nodded slowly. Okay, Tuesday then. Tuesday. He left before he could say anything else, anything that might complicate things further. Outside, the evening air was cool and damp. Savannah in early spring. Ethan sat in his car for a long moment, watching lights come on in windows up and down the street. His phone had 17 missed calls. Texts from his mother, from Sophie's parents, from friends who'd apparently already heard about the broken engagement. He turned the phone off and drove home. The next few days passed in a strange blur. News of the broken engagement spread fast. By Monday morning it was trending on local social media. Not headline news exactly, but enough that Ethan's phone wouldn't stop ringing. He ignored most of the calls, sent a brief text to close friends explaining he and Sophie had mutually decided to end things, avoided his mother's increasingly frantic messages. He spent the time working from home, catching up on hotel business he'd neglected, and thinking about Tuesday, about seeing Leo and Lila again, about Naomi. Tuesday morning arrived grey and drizzly. Ethan showed up at Brooks Catering at 10 sharp, carrying a bag with art supplies he'd bought, good markers, construction paper, stickers. Naomi answered the door in an apron covered in flour. "You're early," she said. "Am I? It's fine. Come in. I'm just finishing some prep work for tomorrow's job." The shop smelled amazing. Bread baking. Something with rosemary. Leo and Lila were at the consultation table, coloring with crayons that had seen better days. "Ethan!" Lila jumped up. "Did you bring the puzzle?" "No, but I brought something else." He held up the bag. "Art supplies. I thought we could make something." "Like what?" "Whatever you want." For the next hour, the kitchen table became an art studio. Leo carefully drew a hotel. His version had wonky windows and a door too big for the building, but Ethan praised it like it was a masterpiece. Lila made a series of abstract paintings that were mostly glitter. Naomi worked nearby, occasionally glancing over with a small smile. "You're good with them," she said during a moment when the kids were absorbed in their projects. "They're easy to be good with. Not always, you're catching them on a good day. I want to be here for the hard days, too." Naomi's hands stilled on the dough she was kneading. "Ethan, I know you don't want to hear this right now, but I need you to know I'm serious about all of it." "All of what?" "Being part of their lives, being consistent, not running when things get difficult." "Things will get difficult," Naomi said quietly. "Kids have tantrums. They get sick. They wake up at 3 in the morning crying about nightmares. It's not all art projects and brownies. I understand that." "Do you? Because you've known them for less than a week." She was testing him again, pushing to see if he'd back down. "Then let me prove it," he said. "Give me a chance to show you I mean what I say." Naomi turned back to her dough, punching it down with more force than necessary. "Okay, but slowly. We do this at their pace, not yours." "Fair enough." Lila called for Ethan's opinion on which color to use next. He went back to the table, leaving Naomi to her work, but he felt her watching him throughout the morning, evaluating, wondering if he'd stay or if this was just temporary guilt. He'd stay. He just had to convince her of that. The art session ended when Leo spilled glue all over himself. While Naomi took him to wash up, Ethan helped Lila clean up the supplies. "Ethan," she asked, carefully putting markers back in their box, "are you our daddy?" The question stopped his heart. "Why do you ask that?" "Leo thinks so. He says you look like us, and that Mommy acts different when you're here." Ethan knelt down so they were eye level. This wasn't how he'd planned this conversation, but kids asked direct questions. They deserved honest answers. "What do you think?" he asked. Lila tilted her head, considering. "I think maybe you are, but I don't know if I'm supposed to say it. You can say anything to me, always." "Okay," she smiled, sudden and bright. "Then I think you're our daddy, and I think that's nice." Ethan's eyes stung. "I think that's nice too. Should we tell Mommy we know? Let's wait a little bit. She wants to make sure the time is right." "Okay." Lila went back to organizing markers, already moving on to the next thing. "Can we go to the park later?" "If your mom says yes." When Naomi and Leo came back, Leo in fresh clothes, his hands scrubbed clean, she found Ethan and Lila finishing the cleanup. "Everything okay?" she asked. Perfect, Ethan said. Lila looked at him with knowing eyes but didn't say anything. They were smart kids. Naomi was right. They'd figure it out soon, with or without being told. The question was, what would happen after that? The scandal broke on Thursday. Ethan was at his office downtown when his assistant knocked on the door, her face apologetic. "Mr. Caldwell, you should see this." She handed him her phone. The local gossip blog had posted a story with the headline, "Hotel Hair Ditches Fiancé for Secret Family." Below it were photos. Ethan leaving Brooks Catering, Ethan at Charlotte's apartment building, and, worst of all, a grainy shot of him kneeling next to Leo and Lila outside the park, taken from across the street with a telephoto lens. His stomach dropped. "How did they—" "Sophie gave an interview this morning," his assistant said quietly. "It's already trending." Ethan scrolled through the article. Sophie had painted a sympathetic picture of herself, the wronged fiancé, blindsided by her partner's secret past. She'd been careful not to say anything directly actionable, but the implication was clear. Ethan had been unfaithful, irresponsible, and had abandoned his children for years. The comment section was predictably vicious. "Sir," his assistant hovered in the doorway, "your mother's called 3 times, and we're getting media requests. Don't respond to anything. I need to—" He grabbed his jacket. "I need to go." He tried calling Naomi on the drive over. No answer. Tried again. Nothing. Brooks Catering's front window had newspaper taped over the glass, a makeshift privacy screen. The closed sign was up even though it was barely noon. Ethan pounded on the door. "Naomi, it's me. Please, open up." Nothing. He called again. This time she picked up. "Go away, Ethan." Her voice was tight. "I need to explain. There's a photographer across the street right now. If you don't leave, tomorrow's story will be about you harassing me." He looked. Sure enough, someone with a camera sat in a parked car down the block. "Where are the kids?" "Safe, with Charlotte. Away from this mess." She paused. "This is exactly what I was afraid of." "I know. I'm sorry. I didn't think Sophie would—" "Of course she would. You humiliated her. What did you expect?" "Let me come in. Just for a minute. We need to talk about this." "There's nothing to talk about. You need to fix this. Whatever it takes, you fix it, because I will not let my children become tabloid fodder." The line went dead. Ethan stood on the sidewalk, very aware of the camera pointed at him. He forced himself to walk calmly back to his car, not looking at the photographer. His phone rang as he drove away. His mother. "Not now, Mom." "Ethan Marshall Caldwell, you answer me right now." Her voice was ice. "What have you done? What I had to do? By creating a public scandal? Do you understand what this is doing to the family name? To the business? I have bigger concerns than the family reputation right now. Those children are your bigger concern. Children with some woman you barely knew. Her name is Naomi, and yes, they're my concern. They're my children. You don't even know that for certain. Get a paternity test before you destroy everything. Goodbye, Mum." He hung up, turned his phone on silent, drove aimlessly for an hour trying to figure out how to fix this. By evening, the story had spread beyond local blogs. A few regional news sites picked it up. Sophie had apparently done a longer interview with someone because new details kept emerging. Carefully worded implications about Ethan's character, his fitness as a father, his family's elitism. None of it was technically untrue. That was the genius of it. Sophie was destroying him without saying anything she could be sued for. Around 8 p.m., Ethan made a decision. He called his lawyer, then his assistant, then 3 board members from the hotel group. "I'm holding a press conference tomorrow morning," he told them. "I'm going to set the record straight." "Is that wise?" his lawyer asked. "Engaging with this just gives it oxygen. Not engaging makes it worse. People are making assumptions. I need to tell the truth." "What truth exactly?" "All of it." The press conference was set for 10 a.m. at one of the hotel's meeting rooms. Ethan spent the night writing and rewriting his statement. He didn't sleep. At 9:30, he stood in front of the mirror, straightening his tie. He looked terrible, exhausted, pale, like he'd aged 5 years in a week. His phone buzzed. A text from Charlotte. "Naomi's watching. Don't make it worse." Another text. This one from an unknown number. "Good luck, hotel man." Leo Charlotte must have helped him send it. The message made Ethan smile despite everything. The conference room had about 30 reporters, plus cameras from 2 local TV stations. His lawyer sat to one side, looking deeply uncomfortable. Ethan stepped up to the microphone. "Thank you all for coming. I'm going to read a brief statement, then I'll take a few questions." He unfolded his paper, though he'd mostly memorized it. Last week I learned that I'm the father of 4-year-old twins. Their mother, Naomi Brooks, tried to contact me when she was pregnant 5 years ago. Those messages never reached me due to interference from someone in my family who believed they were protecting me. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Camera flashes went off. I take full responsibility for not being part of my children's lives until now. That's on me, not on their mother, who has raised them as a single parent with grace and strength. She never hid them from me. I simply didn't know they existed. He paused, looking directly at the cameras. When I found out about Leo and Lila, I ended my engagement to Sophie Grant. Not because I don't care about Sophie, but because it became clear to both of us that we weren't right for each other. That decision was mutual and had nothing to do with the children's mother. That was stretching the truth, but he needed to take the heat off Naomi. I'm not here to make excuses or to play the victim. I'm here to say publicly what I've said privately. I'm committed to being a father to my children. I'm committed to supporting their mother in any way she'll let me, and I'm asking the media to respect their privacy. They're 4 years old. They didn't ask for any of this attention. He folded the paper. I'll take a few questions now. Hands shot up. He pointed to a woman in the front row. Mr. Caldwell, are you in a relationship with the children's mother? No. We're co-parenting. That's all. Do you plan to seek custody? I plan to be present in my children's lives in whatever way works best for them. Their mother and I are working that out privately. Have you taken a paternity test? I don't need one, but I'm happy to take one if it will put speculation to rest. More questions came rapid fire. About Sophie, about his family, about the business implications. Ethan answered what he could, deflected what he couldn't. Finally, a reporter from the back called out, "Do you regret ending your engagement?" Ethan paused. The honest answer would create more headlines, but he was tired of hiding. "No," he said simply. "I regret not being brave enough to admit sooner that it was a mistake. Sophie deserves someone who loves her completely. I wasn't that person." He wrapped up the conference shortly after, ignoring shouted follow-up questions. His lawyer looked like he wanted to strangle him. "You just admitted fault for everything," she hissed as they left. "Do you understand what that means for potential litigation?" "I don't care. It was the truth." Back in his car, Ethan checked his phone. Texts from friends, from business associates, from people he hadn't heard from in years. Everyone had an opinion. One text stood out. From Naomi. "Thank you for that. For protecting them." He typed back, "Always." Her response came a minute later. "Come by tomorrow? 10 a.m. I'll be there." That night, the video of his press conference went semi-viral. The headlines varied, some sympathetic, some critical, most just confused by the whole situation. Ethan didn't read them. He just waited for tomorrow. Naomi answered the door in jeans and a paint-stained t-shirt, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. She looked as exhausted as he felt. "Come in." The shop was quiet. No sign of the twins. "They're at preschool," Naomi explained, seeing his look. "I thought we should talk without them here." "Okay." She gestured to the consultation table. They sat, the same configuration as that first morning. Him on one side, her on the other, a distance that felt both necessary and painful. "I saw your press conference," Naomi said. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did. Sophie was controlling the narrative, making you look like—" He stopped. "I couldn't let that stand. You admitted everything, put it all out there. It was the truth." Naomi traced a pattern on the table with one finger, not looking at him. "Charlotte thinks I'm being too hard on you, that I should give you more credit for trying. Are you being too hard on me?" "I don't know." She finally looked up. 5 years ago, you walked away because things got too serious. Now you're jumping in head first, making public statements, blowing up your life. It's a lot. How do I know this isn't just adrenaline, that you won't wake up in a month and realize you've made a mistake? You don't. I can't prove the future to you. Then what can you give me? Consistency. I show up every time I say I will. I follow through. Day after day, week after week, until you believe it. Naomi leaned back in her chair. "The kids have been asking questions. About you. About why their pictures are online. What did you tell them? That sometimes when people are important, others get curious about their lives. That it doesn't mean anything bad." She rubbed her face. "Leo asked me this morning if you were going to stay or leave like his goldfish did." "His goldfish? It died last month. He's been worried about things disappearing." Her voice cracked slightly. "I can handle people judging me. But watching my kids worry that you're going to vanish, that's harder." Ethan's chest ached. "I won't vanish. You keep saying that. Because it's true." He leaned forward. "Naomi, I know I have to earn your trust. I get that, but you have to give me the chance to do it. I am giving you a chance. She gestured helplessly. I'm scared. For them. For me. This whole situation is terrifying. For me too. She laughed, short and bitter. You're a Caldwell. You have money, connections, stability. What are you scared of? Failing them. Being a terrible father. Looking at my son and daughter and not knowing how to be what they need. He paused. Losing you again before I even get you back. Naomi went very still. Ethan, I know this is about the kids. I know that has to come first. But I'd be lying if I said seeing you again didn't bring everything back. All the feelings I ran from 5 years ago because I was too young and stupid to handle them. Don't. Her voice was barely a whisper. Please don't make this more complicated. It's already complicated. Then don't make it worse. Naomi stood, moving to the window. I can't think about us. I can barely handle thinking about you and them. If you make this about our past, about feelings, She stopped. I'll shut down. I won't be able to do this. Ethan wanted to argue, wanted to tell her that ignoring what was between them wouldn't make it go away. But she was right. Pushing now would only drive her further away. Okay, he said. We focus on Leo and Lila. That's enough. She turned, relief and disappointment mixing in her expression. Thank you. When can I see them again? This weekend? Saturday afternoon? She hesitated. We could go to the beach, Tybee Island, if you want. I want. It won't be fancy. We'll pack sandwiches, play in the sand, normal kid stuff. That sounds perfect. Naomi nodded, twisting her hands together. Ethan, I need to tell them soon, about who you are. They're already figuring it out and I don't want them to feel lied to. When? Maybe at the beach, it's neutral territory, happy place. We can tell them together. The thought terrified and excited him in equal measure. Together. Yes. Okay. She took a breath. Saturday, 2 o'clock. Meet us here, and we'll drive together. I'll be here. He left before the conversation could get heavier, before either of them could say something that would change things again. In his car, Ethan sat for a long moment processing. This weekend his children would know the truth. There would be no more pretending, no more careful distance. Everything was about to become real. Saturday arrived bright and clear, perfect beach weather. Ethan showed up at Brooks Catering at 1:50, wearing casual clothes. Jeans and a t-shirt, sneakers he could get sandy. He'd never felt more nervous. Naomi loaded bags into her car, a practical SUV with car seats in the back. Leo and Lila bounced around, already excited. Ethan's coming to the beach, Lila announced. We're going to build a castle. The biggest castle, Leo added seriously. With a moat. Then we better get started. Ethan helped load the last bag. Need me to drive? I've got it. Naomi's voice was tight. She was nervous too, he realized. The drive to Tybee Island took 45 minutes. The twins chatted the whole way, pointing out interesting things. A dog in another car, a weird-shaped cloud, a billboard for a restaurant they wanted to try. Ethan sat in the passenger seat, hyper-aware of Naomi beside him. Her hands gripped the steering wheel a little too tight. She kept glancing in the rearview mirror at the kids. It'll be okay, he said quietly. Will it? Yeah, it will. Tybee Island was crowded with weekend visitors, but they found parking near the public beach. Ethan helped carry bags and beach toys, while Naomi wrangled the twins into sunscreen. Hold still, Leo. It's cold. It's supposed to be cold. Now arms up. They set up camp near the water. Blankets, umbrellas, a cooler with drinks and sandwiches. The twins immediately wanted to go to the water. Not yet, Naomi said. Let the sunscreen dry. Why don't you start on that castle? Leo and Lila ran to the sand, already planning their architectural masterpiece. Ethan helped them dig, showing Leo how to pack wet sand for stronger walls. Lila focused on decorating, collecting shells and smooth stones. Naomi watched from the blanket, her expression unreadable. After an hour of building, the castle was genuinely impressive, wonky but elaborate, with towers and a proper moat. Leo stepped back to admire their work. It's the best one on the beach, he declared. Definitely, Ethan agreed. Can we go in the water now? Lila asked. Naomi stood, brushing sand off her legs. Okay, but stay where I can see you. They waded into the waves, shrieking at the cold water. Ethan stayed close, ready to catch anyone who stumbled. Naomi walked along the shore, keeping pace with them. The twins played in the surf for a while before getting distracted by hermit crabs in a tide pool. They crouched down, fascinated, as tiny creatures scuttled across rocks. Look at this one. Leo held up a shell carefully. There's something inside. That's his home, Ethan explained. He carries it with him everywhere. Why? For protection, and because when you find a good home, you don't want to leave it behind. Lila touched the shell gently. Does he have a family in there? Just him. But he's looking for one. That's sad. Maybe. Or maybe he's about to find exactly what he needs. Naomi gave him a look. She'd caught the subtext. He shrugged slightly. After the tide pools, they went back to their blanket for lunch. Sandwiches and fruit and juice boxes. The twins ate quickly, already planning their next activity. Can we fly a kite? Leo asked. We didn't bring one. There's a shop that rents them, Ethan said. I saw it in the parking lot. Want me to grab one? Yes! Both kids cheered. I'll come with you, Naomi said. You two stay here, right here on this blanket. Don't move. We won't move, Lila promised. Not even a little bit, Leo added. The kite shop was small, crammed with beach gear and souvenirs. Ethan picked out a simple rainbow kite, while Naomi pretended to look at postcards. You're quiet, he said. I'm preparing. For telling them? For everything changing? She set down a postcard of a lighthouse. Once they know there's no going back, they'll have expectations, hopes. What if we can't meet them? We will. You don't know that. No, but I believe it anyway. Naomi looked at him, something softening in her expression. When did you get so sure about things? When I realized what I stood to lose. They bought the kite and walked back in silence. The twins were exactly where they'd left them, building a second, smaller castle. For the hermit crab, Lila explained. So he has a family home. Ethan's throat felt tight. That's really thoughtful. They spent the next hour flying the kite. It took several attempts to get it airborne, but once it caught the wind, it soared. Leo held the string carefully, his face serious with concentration. Lila danced around, trying to catch the shadow it cast on the sand. The sun was starting to lower when Naomi finally said, Kids, come sit down. Ethan and I need to talk to you about something. The twins flopped onto the blanket, sandy and happy. Ethan's heart was pounding so hard, he thought they might hear it. Naomi took a breath. Do you remember how you asked me about your daddy? About where he was? Both kids nodded, suddenly serious. Well, her voice cracked. She cleared her throat. He's here. He's been here all along. You just didn't know it was him. Lila's eyes went wide. Leo looked between Ethan and his mother, processing. Ethan is your father, Naomi said gently. He didn't know about you before because some letters I sent him got lost. But now he knows, and he wants to be part of your lives. If that's okay with you. Silence. The waves crashed in the background. A seagull called overhead. Leo spoke first. We already knew. Naomi blinked. What? We figured it out, Lila said matter-of-factly. We look like him, and he has the same laugh as Leo. And Charlotte said, What did Charlotte say? Naomi asked weakly. That sometimes the people we love come back when we need them most. Leo turned to Ethan. Are you back? Yes, Ethan said. I'm back, and I'm not leaving. Promise? I promise. Leo considered this, then nodded. Okay, then you're our daddy. Just like that. No drama, no tears. Kids accepted things so much more easily than adults did. Lila crawled into Ethan's lap, sandy legs and all. Can we call you Daddy? If you want to. What if we want to call you Ethan sometimes? That's okay too. What about Papa? Or Dad? Any of them are good. She settled against his chest. I think Daddy, because that's what he is. Ethan wrapped his arms around her, looking over her head at Leo, who was watching with those serious eyes. What do you think, Leo? Ethan asked. I think... Leo paused, choosing his words carefully. I think it's good you came back. Mummy's been sad for a long time. Maybe now she won't be anymore. Naomi made a small sound. Ethan saw tears on her cheeks. Come here, he said, holding out his free arm. She hesitated, then Leo solved it by grabbing her hand and pulling her closer. They ended up in a messy group hug, sandy, damp, slightly awkward, but real. Is this what a family feels like? Lila asked. Yeah, Ethan said, his voice rough. This is exactly what it feels like. They stayed like that for a long moment. Waves rolling in, seagulls crying, the sun painting everything gold. When they finally pulled apart, Leo asked, Can we get ice cream now? Naomi laughed, wiping her eyes. Yes, we can get ice cream. They packed up their beach gear, the kids chattering about what flavors they wanted. The awkwardness had dissolved. Everything felt lighter, easier. At the ice cream shop, Leo ordered chocolate. Lila got strawberry with rainbow sprinkles. Ethan and Naomi both got vanilla. They'd always had the same taste in simple things. They sat at a picnic table outside, watching the sun sink lower. The The twins got ice cream everywhere, as kids do. Naomi produced wet wipes from her seemingly endless supply of parenting tools. "You're prepared for everything," Ethan observed. "You have to be with twins. Double the mess, double the chaos, double the love too." She smiled. "Yeah, that part's pretty good." On the drive back, both kids fell asleep in their car seats, exhausted from sun and sea. Ethan turned down the radio, letting them rest. "That went better than I expected," Naomi said quietly. "They're remarkable kids." "They are. Despite everything, despite me raising them alone and probably making 1,000 mistakes, they're happy, adjusted. You did that. You gave them that. We'll see if I can keep it up now that their world just got more complicated. It'll work out." "You sound very certain." "I am." Ethan looked at her profile in the fading light. "We'll figure it out. Together." Naomi didn't respond, but she didn't argue either. Back at Brooks Catering, they transferred the sleeping kids to Ethan's car. He was taking them to Charlotte's, giving Naomi a night to decompress. "Call me if you need anything," she said. "I will." "Ethan?" She touched his arm, brief and uncertain. "Thank you. For today. For being patient with all of this. Thank you for letting me in." He drove away with his children sleeping in the back seat, the reality of it finally sinking in. He was a father. These two small people depended on him now. The thought was terrifying and wonderful in equal measure. At Charlotte's apartment, he carried both kids inside, one at a time. Charlotte had made up her guest room with sleeping bags and stuffed animals. "How'd it go?" she whispered. "They took it really well. Better than we did, probably. Kids are resilient like that." Charlotte helped him tuck Leo in. "You staying the night?" "If that's okay. Kitchen table's all yours. I'll make coffee." Ethan spent the night on Charlotte's uncomfortable couch, waking every time one of the kids stirred. In the morning, he made them pancakes, lopsided and slightly burned, but Leo and Lila ate them anyway, declaring them delicious. They were generous critics. He took them back to Naomi's around noon. She answered the door looking refreshed, wearing a soft blue sweater that brought out her eyes. "How was it?" she asked. "Perfect. We made breakfast." "Pancakes," Lila announced. They were weird-shaped, but good. "I'll work on my technique," Ethan said. The kids ran inside to show Naomi shells they'd collected yesterday. Ethan lingered in the doorway. "So," Naomi said, "first overnight visit. You survived." "Barely. But yeah. Same time next week?" "I was thinking—" He stopped. "Never mind." "What?" "I was going to suggest more than once a week, but I don't want to push." Naomi studied him. "How about 3 times a week? Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday? You can pick them up from preschool if you want. Give me time to work. 3 days a week. Real consistent time with his kids. That would be amazing." "Okay then." She smiled, small but genuine. "Don't be late for pickup. They get cranky." "I won't be late." "Ethan?" She caught his hand briefly. "This is working. What we're doing. It's actually working." "Yeah," he said, "it really is." He left feeling lighter than he had in years. This was his life now, picking up kids from school, making weird-shaped pancakes, building sandcastles and flying kites. It was everything he hadn't known he wanted, everything he'd been missing all along. Spring turned into summer and a routine emerged. Ethan picked up Leo and Lila from preschool every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. He learned their quirks. Leo needed quiet time after school to decompress, while Lila wanted to tell him everything that happened in excruciating detail. He discovered that Leo hated peas but loved broccoli, that Lila would only wear dresses with pockets, that both of them could negotiate like lawyers when bedtime approached. He moved into a small rental house near Naomi's apartment. Nothing fancy, just 2 bedrooms and a yard where the kids could play. He filled one bedroom with twin beds, painted the walls colors they'd chosen. Leo picked blue. Lila picked purple. They compromised with one wall of each color and called it perfect. The media attention faded gradually. A few follow-up stories ran, mostly positive, about wealthy fathers stepping up for their kids. Sophie gave one final interview claiming she'd dodged a bullet, then disappeared from public view. Ethan's mother sent a stiff letter of apology that felt more like a legal document than a real acknowledgement of harm. He didn't respond. Some wounds needed more than words to heal. On a humid Tuesday in June, Ethan was giving the twins a bath when Leo asked, "Daddy, why don't you live with us?" Ethan paused mid-shampoo. "What do you mean?" "You have your house. We have our house. But we're a family now. Families live together." "Not all families live in the same house," Ethan said carefully. "Some families have different arrangements." "But why?" Lila asked, blowing bubbles in the bathwater. "Don't you like living with us?" "I love being with you. Both of you." Then why can't you stay? How did you explain adult complications to 4-year-olds? How did you tell them that their mother needed space, that rushing things could break what they were carefully building? It's something your mom and I are figuring out, he said finally. Grown-up stuff. Grown-up stuff is boring, Leo declared. Sometimes it is. Later, after he'd read bedtime stories and tucked them in at his house, Ethan sat on his porch thinking about Leo's question. Why don't you live with us? Because he and Naomi were still dancing around each other, that's why. Still being careful, still keeping that professional distance, even as the space between them shrank every week. They were good co-parents. They communicated well, made decisions together, presented a united front to the kids. But they weren't. What? A couple? A family in the traditional sense. He wanted more. He'd wanted more for months now. But Naomi had made it clear that first day. This was about the kids, not about them. Except the kids were asking questions now, noticing things. His phone buzzed. Text from Naomi. Kids asleep. Just tucked them in. Leo called me. Asked if you could live with us. Yeah, he asked me too during bath time. A pause. Then, what did you tell him? That it's complicated grown-up stuff. Good answer. Is it? Because I'm not sure what the right answer is anymore. The 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times. Finally, me neither. Ethan stared at his phone, willing her to say more. She didn't. The catering business had been struggling since the scandal broke. Not catastrophically. Naomi still had her regular clients. But several high-profile events had cancelled, and new bookings had slowed. She never complained about it, but Ethan saw the stress in the way she checked her bank account constantly, the late nights she spent updating her website, the forced cheerfulness when she talked about a small birthday party booking. Let me help, he said one Thursday afternoon while the kids played in her shop. I don't need charity. It's not charity. It's a father supporting the mother of his children. Same thing. No, it's not. Ethan set down the financial statement she'd left on the table. He'd glanced at it while bringing her coffee. You're barely breaking even. Let me invest in the business, or at least help with the kids' expenses. I've been handling their expenses for 4 years. I know. And you shouldn't have had to do it alone. Naomi closed her laptop, rubbing her temples. I'm not comfortable taking money from you. Why not? Because it changes things. Makes this feel like, I don't know, like you're buying your way in. That's not what this is. Isn't it? She looked at him. You have all the resources, all the advantages. I have my pride and my business. If I take your money, what do I have left? A partner, someone sharing the load. We're not partners, Ethan. We're co-parents. There's a difference. The word stung. Is there? Because from where I'm sitting, we're building something that looks a lot like a partnership. Don't. Her voice went sharp. Don't read more into this than what it is. Why are you so afraid of this being more? Because... She stopped, shaking her head. I can't do this right now. I have a client meeting in an hour and I still need to prep the samples. She was shutting down, pulling back like she always did when things got too close to the edge of whatever they were avoiding. Ethan gathered his things. I'll pick up the kids tomorrow. Usual time. Ethan, it's fine. We're fine. He forced a smile. See you tomorrow. But they weren't fine. Something was building between them. Pressure accumulating like a storm about to break. It broke on a Saturday in July. Ethan had the kids for the weekend. They'd spent the morning at the park, the afternoon at a children's museum. Now they were at his house making dinner. Pasta with sauce, Leo insisted on stirring himself. Daddy, can we have a sleepover? Lila asked. A real one with friends. What friends? Emma from school. And maybe Tyler. They've never seen our room here. That's something we'd need to ask your mom about. Why? Leo asked. It's your house. You're our dad. Yes, but your mom and I make big decisions together. But you're grown-ups. Can't you just decide? If only it were that simple. I'll talk to her about it. After dinner, which involved more sauce on faces than in mouths, Ethan called Naomi while the kids watched a movie. Sleepover request, he said when she answered. The kids want to invite friends over to my place. Which friends? He told her. They discussed logistics. When, how many kids, who would supervise. The conversation was perfectly civil, perfectly practical, perfectly hollow. Naomi, he said when they'd covered everything. Can we talk? Really talk? About what? About us. About what we're doing here. Silence on the other end. Then, I thought we agreed. I know what we agreed, but it's been 4 months. 4 months of me seeing you almost every day, of us building this life together, and we're still pretending there's nothing between us. There can't be anything between us. Why not? Because, her voice rose, because if we try and it doesn't work, it doesn't just hurt us, it hurts them. Leo and Lila don't need to see their parents in some messy relationship that falls apart. Who says it would fall apart? History says so. We tried this once before, Ethan. You left. I was 27 and terrified of commitment. I'm not that person anymore. People don't change that much. Yes, they do. I have. Being a father changed me. Knowing what I lost changed me. Naomi made a frustrated sound. I can't risk it. I can't risk them getting attached to the idea of us being together only to watch it crumble. They're already asking why we don't live together. I know. Leo asked me too. She paused. What did you tell him? The truth, that it's complicated. It is complicated. It doesn't have to be. Ethan moved to the porch away from where the kids might hear. Naomi, I'm in love with you. I've been in love with you this whole time, probably since 5 years ago. I was just too stupid and scared to admit it. The silence stretched so long he thought she'd hung up. Don't say that, she whispered finally. Why not? It's true. Because it makes everything harder. Or it makes everything simpler. We love each other. We have children together. We are good together, you know we are. I can't, her voice cracked. I can't go through losing you again. Once was hard enough. You won't lose me. You don't know that. What if your mother was right? What if I'm not the right fit for your world? What if... Stop. His voice was firm. My mother was wrong about everything. You are enough. You've always been enough. The only person who doesn't see that is you. He heard her crying softly. It broke his heart. I'm scared, she admitted. Me too. But I'm more scared of spending the rest of my life wondering what we could have been. The kids will be fine, better than fine, because they'll grow up seeing their parents actually happy together instead of just coexisting. More silence. Then, I need time to think about this. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either. Take all the time you need, Ethan said. I'm not going anywhere. A week passed, then 2. Naomi was polite but distant during kid handoffs. She texted only about logistics. She didn't bring up their conversation. Ethan tried to be patient, tried to give her space while still being present for Leo and Lila. Charlotte cornered him at pickup one afternoon. What did you do? What? Naomi's been miserable for 2 weeks, crying into her coffee, snapping at me, burning food, which she never does. So, what did you do? I told her I loved her. Oh, Charlotte's expression shifted. Oh, well, that explains it. Explains what? Why she's being such a mess. She's trying to decide if she can trust this, trust you. She can. I've proven that. Have you? Charlotte tilted her head. Or have you just proven you can be a good dad? Being a good partner is different. How do I prove that? You don't. You just keep showing up, keep being consistent, and eventually she'll realize you mean it. How long will that take? Charlotte shrugged. As long as it takes. Naomi's been hurt before. By you, by her own family who didn't support her when she got pregnant. By a world that told her she wasn't good enough. You're asking her to be vulnerable again. That's terrifying. I know. Do you? Because from where I'm standing, you seem pretty sure of yourself. Sure this will work out. Sure she'll come around. But Naomi doesn't have that kind of confidence. She's spent 5 years building walls. You're asking her to tear them down. Charlotte was right. He'd been so focused on his own feelings, his own certainty, that he hadn't fully considered how scary this must be for Naomi. What should I do? He asked. Keep being you. Keep showing up for those kids. And maybe, Charlotte paused, maybe show her that you're willing to be vulnerable too, that you're not just asking her to take all the risk. The opportunity came sooner than expected. Ethan's mother called on a Thursday evening. We need to talk. Can you come to the house? About what? Just come, please. Claudia Caldwell didn't say please often. Ethan arranged for Charlotte to watch the kids and drove to his childhood home. His mother waited in the sitting room, looking older than he remembered. She'd aged in the months since their confrontation. More grey in her hair, deeper lines around her eyes. Thank you for coming, she said. Ethan sat across from her, wary. What's this about? I've been thinking about what you said. About the letters I intercepted. About the choices I made. She folded her hands in her lap. I've been seeing a therapist. Working through some things. Okay. I was wrong, Ethan. About Naomi. About interfering in your life. I let my own fears and prejudices control my actions. I convinced myself I was protecting you when really I was just trying to control your future. The apology was more genuine than the letter had been. Ethan could see it cost her something to admit this. I want to meet them, Claudia continued. Leo and Lila, my grandchildren. Why now? Because I've wasted enough time already. Because they're family. Because, her voice wavered. Because I want to make amends for what I did. If you'll let me. Ethan studied his mother. Part of him wanted to refuse, to protect his kids from her. But another part, the part that remembered her raising him alone after his father died, the part that knew she was capable of love, even if she showed it badly, wanted to give her a chance. "I'll talk to Naomi," he said finally. "It's her decision too, of course. And if she says yes, you follow her lead. You don't criticize. You don't offer unsolicited advice. You don't make them feel like they're not good enough." "I understand." "Do you? Because, Mom, if you hurt them, any of them, including Naomi, I'm done. You won't get another chance." Claudia nodded, tears in her eyes. "I understand. And Ethan, I'm proud of you, of the father you've become. I should have said that months ago." The words settled something in his chest that he hadn't realized was still unsettled. He drove to Naomi's apartment that night, even though it wasn't his scheduled day. She answered in pajamas, surprised. "Is everything okay? Where are the kids?" "With Charlotte. Can I come in?" She stepped aside. Her apartment was small but warm, decorated with the kids' artwork, photos, comfortable furniture. A real home. "My mother wants to meet Leo and Lila," he said. Naomi's expression shuddered. "No, hear me out. She kept those letters from you. She's the reason you missed 4 years. Why would I let her anywhere near them? Because she's trying to make amends. Because she's their grandmother, and they deserve the chance to know her if she's genuine about changing. And if she's not, if she looks at them and judges them or me, then I'll handle it. I'll protect all of you. But Naomi, I'm asking you to trust me on this." "Trust you?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "That's what this all comes down to, isn't it? Whether I can trust you." "Yes." She paced to the window, arms wrapped around herself. "I want to. God, I want to. But trusting you means being vulnerable, and vulnerable means I could get hurt again. You could, I could too, that's what love is. Choosing to be vulnerable anyway." Naomi turned to face him. "I'm not strong enough for that. You are. You're the strongest person I know. You raised 2 kids alone, built a business from nothing, survived when everything was stacked against you. If that's not strength, I don't know what is. That's different. That's surviving. This is..." She gestured between them. "This is choosing to risk everything, then risk it with me." Ethan crossed to her. "I'm not asking for guarantees, I'm asking for a chance. Let me love you. Let me be part of this family, not just as the kid's father, but as your partner. And if it doesn't work, then we figure it out. We're adults. We'll handle it. But Naomi, I really think it will work. I think we could be incredible together." She was crying now, tears streaming down her face. "I never stopped loving you. Even when I was angry, even when I thought you'd abandoned us, I never stopped." Relief flooded through him. "Then let's try. Really try. What about the kids? They'll adjust. They're already asking why we're not together. Are we really doing this?" Her voice was small, uncertain. "If you want to, I want to. But it has to be both of us." Naomi looked at him for a long moment. He could see her wrestling with it. The fear versus the hope. The walls versus the possibility of something real. Finally, she stepped forward and kissed him. It was tentative at first, questioning, then deeper as he pulled her closer, 5 years of longing and loss and love pouring into that kiss. When they pulled apart, both were breathing hard. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay, let's try. Yeah? Yeah, but slowly. We do this right this time. As slowly as you need." She rested her forehead against his chest. "Your mother, we can meet her once. If she's terrible, we're done. Fair enough." They stood like that for a while, just holding each other. Outside, Savannah's summer night sounds drifted through the open window, cicadas and distant traffic and someone's wind chimes. "This is scary," Naomi said. "I know, but it's also..." She looked up at him. "It's also right. This feels right." "It does." She kissed him again, softer this time. "Stay tonight." "Not... We don't have to do anything, just stay." "Okay." They curled up on her couch, Naomi fitting perfectly against his side. They talked in whispers about everything and nothing, logistics, fears, hopes, silly memories from 5 years ago. Eventually they fell asleep like that, tangled together. It felt like coming home. Claudia Caldwell met her grandchildren on a humid Saturday afternoon in August. Ethan had prepared the kids carefully. "Remember I told you about my mother? Your grandmother? The one who was mean?" Leo asked. "She made mistakes, but she wants to try again. To be better. Will she like us?" Lila asked, suddenly shy. "She'll love you. How could she not?" They met at Ethan's house. Neutral territory. Naomi came too, standing close to Ethan, her hand in his. They'd been officially together for 3 weeks now, taking it slow but steady. When Claudia arrived, she paused at the sight of all of them together. Her eyes filled with tears. "Hi," Ethan said. "Mom, these are your grandchildren, Leo and Lila." Leo stepped forward first, ever the brave one. "Hi, Grandma. I'm Leo. I like puzzles and building things." "And I'm Lila." She pushed in front of her brother. "I like dancing and painting and sparkles." Claudia knelt down slowly, bringing herself to their level. "It's wonderful to meet you both. I've been looking forward to this for a long time." "How long?" Leo asked. "Since the moment I found out you existed. I made some mistakes. I hope you'll forgive me." "Okay," Leo said simply. "Mommy says everyone makes mistakes." "Your mommy is very wise." Claudia looked up at Naomi. "Thank you for giving me this chance." Naomi's expression was guarded but not hostile. "Don't make me regret it." "I won't." The visit was awkward at first. Claudia clearly didn't know how to interact with small children. But Leo and Lila, being kids, didn't care about awkwardness. They showed her their room, their toys, their drawings, demanded she watch them on the swing set, chatted about their lives with the unfiltered honesty of 4-year-olds. By the end of the afternoon, Claudia was laughing, real, genuine laughter, as Lila tried to teach her a complicated dance move. "You're terrible at this, Grandma," Lila said, giggling. "I am. I'm very sorry. It's okay. We can practice." After the kids went inside to get water, Claudia turned to Naomi and Ethan. "They're wonderful. Both of you. You've raised wonderful children." "Naomi did most of the raising," Ethan said. "Then thank you," Claudia said to Naomi, "for loving them so well, for being exactly the kind of mother they needed." Naomi's eyes widened slightly. "Thank you. And I'm sorry. For the letters, for my prejudice, for all of it. I have no excuse except my own fear and arrogance. You hurt us." Naomi's voice was steady. "You stole time from Ethan and his children. That's not something I can just forget. I know, I'm not asking you to forget, just maybe eventually to forgive. Maybe? Eventually." Naomi paused. "But you'll have to earn it." "I will, however long it takes." It wasn't a perfect reconciliation, but it was a start. Summer faded into fall. Leo and Lila started kindergarten, a milestone that made both Ethan and Naomi cry at drop-off. "They're so small," Naomi sniffled. "They'll be fine," Ethan said, though his own eyes were wet. They waited in the parking lot for 15 minutes, neither willing to leave first. Finally, Naomi laughed. "We're ridiculous. Completely. Want to get coffee?" Always. They'd fallen into a rhythm, a real partnership. Ethan helped with the catering business, investing not just money but time. He did deliveries, handled bookings, washed dishes during big events. The business started growing again, slowly but surely. Naomi helped him navigate fatherhood's learning curve. She was patient with his mistakes, celebrated his victories, backed him up when the kids tested boundaries. They still kept separate apartments, moving slowly like Naomi needed, but most nights ended with them together, either at his place or hers, but together. The kids stopped asking when Daddy would live with them full-time. They seemed content with the arrangement, understanding in the intuitive way children do that their parents were figuring things out. In November, Brooks Catering got its biggest booking yet, a wedding for 300 guests at one of Savannah's historic venues. Naomi was terrified and excited in equal measure. "This could change everything," she told Ethan. "Make the business really viable. You can do this." "We can do this," she corrected. "I need your help, whatever you need." The wedding was beautiful. The food was perfect. The clients cried happy tears and promised to recommend Brooks Catering to everyone they knew. Afterward, Ethan helped Naomi break down the kitchen setup. It was 3 in the morning before they finished. "I can't believe we pulled that off," Naomi said, collapsing into a chair. "You pulled it off. I just carried heavy things." "You did more than that." She looked at him, exhausted but glowing. "You believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. That's easy. You're brilliant." "Ethan," she paused, "I think I'm ready." "Ready for what?" "For you to move in. With me and the kids." "For real? Not just sleepovers and split time. For us to be a family, a real one." His heart started pounding. "You're sure?" "I'm terrified. But yes, I'm sure." She smiled. "You've proven you're not going anywhere. I think... No, I know. I can trust this. Trust us." Ethan pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. "When?" "Whenever you want. Tomorrow? Next week? Next month?" "Tomorrow sounds good." She laughed. "You don't even want to think about it?" "I've been thinking about it for months. I don't need more time." They kissed there in the empty venue, surrounded by the remnants of someone else's perfect day. building their own perfect moment. Moving in was chaotic. Ethan's furniture didn't really fit in Naomi's apartment, so they ended up looking for a new place together, something bigger with a real yard for the kids. They found a small house near Forsyth Park. Nothing fancy, but it had character. Old hardwood floors, a wide front porch, a kitchen big enough for Naomi to experiment with recipes. Leo and Lila picked out paint colors for their new shared room. They wanted purple and blue again, plus stars on the ceiling that glowed at night. Compromise and negotiation, Naomi said, watching them debate. They're good at it. They learned from the best. The first night in the new house, they ordered pizza and ate on the floor because the dining table hadn't been delivered yet. The kids ran around exploring every corner, their voices echoing in empty rooms. After they'd finally exhausted themselves and gone to bed, Ethan and Naomi sat on the back porch. The yard was small but private, with an old magnolia tree that would be perfect for a swing. "This is real," Naomi said softly. "We're really doing this." Having second thoughts? No. Just, it's different when it's real, when we're building something permanent together. Good different? The best different. She leaned against him. "I never thought I'd get this. A partner, a real home for the kids. After you left, after I had them alone, I convinced myself it was enough, that we didn't need anything more. But this is so much better. Having you here, doing this together, it's what I wanted all along but was too scared to hope for." Ethan kissed the top of her head. "I'm sorry I made you wait so long. You're here now, that's what matters." Inside, they heard a small voice. "Daddy? Mummy? I had a bad dream." They looked at each other and smiled. "Coming, baby," Naomi called. They went inside together, climbing the stairs to comfort their daughter, to tuck her back in, to promise the nightmares weren't real, to fill her world with safety and love. Later, in their own room, their shared room, in their shared house, they held each other in the darkness. "Thank you," Ethan whispered. "For what?" "For giving me a second chance, for letting me back in, for loving me even when I didn't deserve it. You deserved it. You always did. You just had to grow into believing that. I believe it now." "Good." Naomi kissed him softly. "Because I'm planning on keeping you around for a very long time." "How long?" "Forever. Give or take." "Forever sounds perfect." Christmas morning arrived with the chaos of excited children. Leo and Lila thundered down the stairs at 6 a.m., shrieking about presents. Ethan and Naomi stumbled after them, bleary-eyed but smiling. The living room looked like a toy store had exploded. Presents piled under the tree, stockings overflowing. The kids attacked everything with enthusiasm, wrapping paper flying. Charlotte came by for breakfast, bringing her famous cinnamon rolls. Claudia stopped by in the afternoon, bearing gifts and genuine warmth. She'd been slowly working her way back into their lives. Careful, respectful, trying to make amends one day at a time. "Grandma, look what Daddy got me." Lila showed off her new art set. "That's wonderful, sweetie." "And I got books." Leo held up a stack. "Want to read one with me?" "I'd love that." Ethan watched his mother settle onto the couch with Leo, patiently reading about dinosaurs. She'd changed, or maybe she was finally showing the parts of herself she'd hidden for so long. Either way, it was healing. That evening, after everyone had left and the kids were finally asleep, crashed from sugar and excitement, Ethan found Naomi in the kitchen doing dishes. "Leave them," he said. "Do them tomorrow. I'm almost done." He wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas." She turned in his arms. "This was a good day. The best. Remember our first Christmas together? 5 years ago." Ethan did. They'd been dating for 3 months. He'd bought her a scarf because he didn't know what else to get. She'd made him cookies shaped like hotels. They'd been so young, so unsure. "We were different people then," he said. "We were, younger, scared of commitment. I'm not scared anymore." "Me neither," Naomi smiled. "Well, maybe a little, but the good kind of scared. This matters so much I don't want to mess it up kind." "We won't mess it up." "How do you know?" "Because we've already been through the worst parts. We've been separated, we've dealt with scandal, we've rebuilt from nothing. If we can survive all that, we can survive anything." "When did you become so wise?" "I'm not wise. I'm just—" He paused, searching for the right words. "I'm just finally brave enough to believe in us." Naomi kissed him, slow and sweet. "I love you. I love you too." They stood there in their kitchen, in their home, with their children sleeping upstairs. It was ordinary, it was extraordinary. It was everything Ethan had been too young to appreciate the first time around. Outside, Savannah's winter night settled in, soft and quiet, the air smelling faintly of wood smoke and magnolia. Inside, a family slept. Tomorrow there would be breakfast chaos and leftover wrapping paper to clean up. There would be work and school and the endless logistics of life with young kids. There would be challenges, arguments, moments of frustration, but there would also be laughter and love and the daily miracle of choosing each other again and again. 2 years later, the kitchen was loud on Sunday mornings. Leo and Lila, now 7 years old, argued over who got the last blueberry muffin. Their younger sister, Maya, banged her sippy cup on her high chair, demanding more milk. The dog they'd adopted last spring barked at a squirrel outside. Naomi flipped pancakes while simultaneously refereeing the muffin dispute. "We'll split it. Leo gets half, Lila gets half, everyone's happy." "But I'm hungrier," Leo protested. "Then eat some fruit." "Fruit isn't muffins. Life is hard. Get used to disappointment." Ethan rescued Maya from her high chair, wiping syrup off her chubby hands. She was 18 months old now, a surprise baby who'd arrived with Naomi's dark eyes and Ethan's stubborn chin. "Daddy, Maya's sticky," Lila observed. "She is. Maya specializes in sticky." The baby giggled, grabbing his nose with her syrup-covered fingers. This was life now. Messy, chaotic, loud, perfect. Brooks Catering had expanded. Naomi now had 3 full-time employees and was considering opening a second location. Ethan had stepped back from the hotel business to focus on community development, using his family's resources to help small businesses in Savannah. They'd gotten married 6 months ago in a simple ceremony on Tybee Island. Leo and Lila had been ring bearers. Maya had eaten sand. It had been perfect. Now, watching his family around the breakfast table, arguing and laughing and just being together, Ethan felt overwhelming gratitude. "What are you smiling about?" Naomi asked, setting down a fresh plate of pancakes. "This, all of this, the chaos, the family." She smiled, that same smile that had captured him 5 years ago in a rehearsal dinner ballroom. "It's pretty good, isn't it?" "It's everything." Leo tugged on Ethan's sleeve. "Daddy, can we go to the park today?" "And the ice cream place," Lila added. "And feed the ducks?" Leo continued. "Maybe," Naomi said. "After we clean up from breakfast and someone finishes their homework." Groans all around. "Life is hard," Ethan echoed Naomi's earlier words. "Get used to disappointment." Leo grinned. "You guys say that a lot." "Because it's true." Naomi ruffled his hair. "Now clear your plates." The kids scattered, the dog followed. Maya squirmed to get down. Sunday morning chaos at its finest. Later, after the park and ice cream and duck feeding, they returned home tired and happy. The kids collapsed in front of a movie. Maya fell asleep in Ethan's arms. Naomi curled up beside him on the couch, her head on his shoulder. "Remember when you showed up at my catering shop that first morning?" she asked. "When you wanted to meet the kids? I was terrified." "Me too. I kept thinking you'd change your mind, decide it was too complicated. Never even crossed my mind. I know that now. But then," she paused, "then I was so scared of hoping, of believing this could work. And now? Now I can't imagine anything else." She looked up at him. "You gave me everything I was too afraid to ask for." We gave it to each other. On the TV, the movie played on. Around them, their children drowsed. Outside, the sun set over Savannah, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. This was their life, their second chance, their hard-won family, their everyday miracle. Not perfect, but real. Not always easy, but worth it. Full of love that had survived separation and doubt and time. Love that had grown stronger for being tested. Love that had finally come home. And that was everything. The end.